they're doing.
This seems like a dumb thing to offer to people if you don't want them to leave.
And you know, despite some layoffs in Silicon Valley, it's pretty easy to find a job these days still. And so, you know, Elon Musk,
he's really
$44 billion, and he just seems to, you know, every week take $10 billion and set it on fire.
Double down
set it on fire.
On it. Musk appeared to soften his stance on remote work, with Twitter later announcing it would deactivate employees' badge access at the office until Monday. Twitter previously laid off half of its 7,500-person staff, fired dissenters, sometimes publicly, causing many people to question the future of the social media site. I think Twitter, David Ignatius, is in question.
Yeah, I'll say.
I'm not sure that's a bad thing.
Musk's tweets have been, for the most part, painful to read, but he did have one yesterday that was pretty funny. He said, how do you make a large fortune in social media? So I got this backwards. How do you make a small fortune in social media? Answer: start with a large fortune. And that's what Elon Musk did. He started with an enormous stack of capital, and he's just whittling it down day by day.
Yeah, and you know what? In a lot of ways, it's a sewer, and really bad things happen on Twitter. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure where this is going to go, but it hasn't been a completely positive thing for our civil conversation, our discourse across the country.
But it's been useful for a lot of people.
I know.
It really has been. And
there is always another side to it with social media.
Oh, absolutely.
Facebook, too.
Look, absolutely. I mean, you know, don't get me started on Facebook. So, you know, it's absolutely, there are two sides of the coin. Now, however, we're at the point where, can the site run? Are there enough people there to run it?
And what's going to happen?
And you know, one day, will it just like freeze up and that's that?
Or it just becomes even worse on its negative sides. We have Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota standing by. Why don't I was going to actually do the Taylor Swift story and ask you about that. We'll get to it because you have some things to say. But Twitter, go.
Yeah. So, as you know, I've been way out front on this for a long time. And this isn't just Twitter, as you just pointed out, Eugene. This is also about all of these companies. There are no rules of the road in place. We have no federal privacy law. We have state ones. We have no competition policy for tech that applies to tech, something I've been trying to change. We have no rules when it comes to, do they get to keep their immunity when they're actually amplifying hate speech or misinformation and making money off it. It is one thing when someone just posts something and sends an email, puts something out there, and you own a company on which they did it. It is another when you are amplifying it and making money off it. There are ways, as other countries have done, that we could put rules in place. So I think this should be a major focus for the Congress next year. I think we have to, as well as getting everything we can get done by the end of this year, because nothing has happened. Yes, he seems to be unexplainably doing everything to run this company into the ground. I don't understand it. It is cyber employees, all kinds of things, engineers leaving, but there is more than that. That is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to no rules in place.
It is the tip of the iceberg, and it's not the only social media site that we as a country are struggling with. And you have been working on trying to get some accountability. And I ask, why would your Republican counterparts or anybody in Washington not want to fix what is a growing problem of disinformation flying across, you know, I guess the internet airwaves or whatever you want to call it, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, and becoming destructive to not only our discourse, but to people's lives?
Exactly. Well, there have been Republicans that have been willing to talk about eliminating or limiting Section 230 immunity.
Right, Section 230.
Which means you can be sued if you're amplifying and making money off it.
That's the bottom line, isn't it?
Right now they're protected. Other companies aren't protected. Networks aren't protected. That's the first thing. The second thing is strengthening our antitrust laws. We have a chance right now of allowing our FTC and our Justice Department enforcers to get more funds by just passing the bill that Senator Grassley and I have which has already passed the House now, to change the merger fees so they have more resources.
Do you think that
so that's where I want to put the
happen?
Taylor Swift fans
right
on that.
Exactly.
Right on antitrust, because that story of Ticketmaster, separate from the tech companies, that is a story of a monopoly gone wild.
So here's the Ticketmaster story, and then continue.
Yeah.
But Ticketmaster has now canceled planned public sale of tickets for Taylor Swift's upcoming tour. This is a mess, citing, quote, extraordinary high demand on ticketing systems and insufficient inventory. The public scale planned for today was for any tickets left over from this week's pre-sales. Ticketmaster says it received 3.5 billion ticket requests on the first day of pre-sales on Tuesday. I mean, I saw it coming. Taylor Swift, you guys, come on. Come on, Ticketmaster, it's Swift. That's nearly 4 times its previous peak. 2 million tickets were sold that day. Taylor Swift has not responded for a request for comment, but go ahead, antitrust, hats off.
So in 2010, Live Nation and Ticketmaster were allowed to merge. The combined company now has 70% of ticket sales. So in truth, there's no other choice. And that's what's going on. There is a monopoly. They also have quickly and quietly bought so many venues and arenas, so it is a vertical integration. That's why we are pushing the Justice Department to look at this and to look back at that consent decree, of which they have power over that consent decree. I talked to Senator Mike Lee last night. We chair the Committee on Antitrust. We are going to go ahead with a hearing on Ticketmaster this year. And so I think you're going to start seeing a lot of questions. It is not just about Taylor Swift.
Right.
This has been going on. It's about prices, hidden fees that are way too high. It's about site disruptions and the kind of thing. And of course, you could anticipate it. But where else are you going to go to sell your tickets when there's only one game in town?
So from Taylor Swift, one powerful woman, to another. Speaker Nancy Pelosi. So Susan Page wrote the book. You've worked alongside, side by side with her for years. And I just would love for you to talk a little bit about your experiences with her and also this moment of her stepping down. I believe, my gosh, the second time she served as the first woman speaker, second in line to the presidency, one of the most powerful people in the world. And what comes to mind when you think of this moment? I say gratitude, number one, for her service, but for you as a friend as well as a colleague.
I say strength. That moment when she walked out of the White House and flipped on those sunglasses after taking on Trump on another government shutdown, that was it for me. Because I just think it just shows at any moment she has in her small frame, she is able to exhibit strength in dealing with a closed caucus many times with a lot of different views, keeping her eyes on what matters, getting the Affordable Care Act passed, investing more in bringing down greenhouse gases, doing something about climate change than any leader, working with Senator Schumer, our leader over in the Senate, to get things done, working with presidents from George Bush on. It's just an incredible story. And first woman speaker, and we are so proud of her. And I loved when actually Senator McConnell made those beautiful comments about her, because there is no doubt there is respect for her, no matter how strongly they disagreed with her.
Absolutely.
She was able to get things done because she would never turn. She would always straight on lead.
Susan, your thoughts given what Senator Pelosi has had to say, and I'll just add that when I interviewed Nancy Pelosi about what her greatest achievement was in life, in her work, she did say it was the Affordable Care. I mean, right from the get-go, Affordable Care Act. That was just but you look at what happened after, and how she stood up to President Trump time and time again, having him, even at times, lorded over him. This is a powerful woman. This is a woman who, if I may, knew her value and absolutely used it to the full extent of her ability for this country.
And demonized by Republicans, the favorite target of Republicans, depicted as a witch and a devil. Some of that was misogyny. And also routinely underestimated. I think that through her career until the end, others often did not understand exactly what they were coming up against when they were facing Nancy Pelosi. Just one other thing. We're looking at what she's going to do now.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a little bit of a surprise that she decided to stay in the Congress even after stepping back from the leadership. She told us yesterday that when her husband was attacked, some people assumed that meant she would feel compelled to go home to California. She said it made her more likely to stay
double down
in Washington.
Yeah,
because
that
she
seems right.
Did not want to give them the satisfaction of having her leave town.
That's right. You're damn right. And I'm glad that, I mean, that seems very what we know of her. But just really quickly, sorry, Alex, the mother-in-law line.
Oh,
so yeah, after her
we
speech.
asked her yesterday what advice was she going to give her successor, and she said she was not. Thanksgiving is coming. She said, I'm not going to be the mother-in-law who goes into the kitchen and says, you're making the stuffing wrong. That's not how we make the stuffing in this family. So she said she was not going to give advice to her successor, which is a statement I believe will be untrue.
Oh, absolutely. I hope not.
I also bet that she has commented about stuffing before Thanksgiving and given her views.
Nancy, you can come into my kitchen and you can tell me what to do. I'm like, I would take it. I just give the advice to whoever's getting that advice. Take it. Senator Amy Klobuchar, it's always good to see you. Thank you for coming in. I know you had a late night last night.
Presiding till midnight.
Good Lord.
No
it's 7 in the morning. What are you doing?
It's all good.
Okay. And Susan, and this is Amy's book. Her new memoir is entitled The Joy of Politics. Boy, did we just talk about it, actually, in a way, because...
Exactly. It is, you can choose cynicism and fear, or you can choose joy in this job.
So this comes out in May?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
It's about overcoming a lot of obstacles.
All right, well, we look forward to that.
Thank you very much.
Susan Page, thank you as well. Your book, Madam Speaker, this is what needs to fly off the shelves once again. It already has, but my God, what an incredible time to really look back on the career and the legacy of Nancy Pelosi. She's still serving, but stepping down as the first woman Speaker of the House. And Sam Stein, congrats on surviving this week.
Oof.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
That was rough.
It was a lot, yeah.
That was a lot.